Everybody, before we officially start, please mute your cell phones. Better check mine.
Hey man, how you doing?
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Brevard City Council, our regular meeting on Tuesday, October 8th. And as we start, I'd like to introduce everybody who is sitting up here. To my far right is our city attorney, Mac McKellar. Next to him is City Councilman Lauren Wise. Next is City Councilwoman Pamela Holder. Then we have City Councilman Mac Morrow. I'm Mayor Maureen Kopoloff. To my immediate left is our city clerk, Denise Hodgson. Next to Denise is the Mayor Pro Tem and City Councilman Gary Daniel. And on my far left is our city manager, Wilson Hooper. With that, I would like to ask Dr. Andrew White, who's the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church. Pastor Andrew, would you please come and give our invocation?
Yes, ma'am. You want me to start with prayer?
Yes.
Okay. Lord God, we come to you today asking for blessing on this meeting, wisdom for its participants, and rest. I know what's on most of our minds is this storm that has wreaked havoc in our region, and so we ask that you would comfort the families of those who grieve. We ask that you would protect those who are still missing. Give us success in our efforts to find them and to provide relief and resources to the public. We want to thank you that you have largely and relatively spared Transylvania County to some degree. Thank you that we are able to be a blessing to other regions through relief efforts. Thank you for the just coalition of churches and communities and neighbors and business people who have locked arms together and are working diligently to meet needs. Thank you for Anchor Baptist and all that they're doing, and Turkey Creek and First Baptist and Calvary and the Cove and countless other churches and relief organizations for working tirelessly to help. I pray you would grant our linemen and our first responders safety and protection and even rest. We pray that you would remind us that you are sovereign over all things. Your word says that you are enthroned above the flood, and we believe you are big and you can do all things, and we ask that you would pour out a spirit of peace on this city and this county and this community. Pray that you would pour out wisdom. Your word says if we ask for wisdom, you grant it liberally, so we pray for that in this meeting. We thank you for the members of this council and the work that they're doing to bring order and success and prosperity to the city that we all love so much, Brevard. Pray you would bless this community beyond measure. Give us wisdom in this meeting to make decisions that honor you and that steward our resources well. And we thank you most of all for your Son, Jesus Christ, who died on the cross to forgive us of our sins and to grant us access to a thrice holy God. Thank you for what you're up to in our city. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pastor Andrew, could you tell us a little bit? I know Calvary Baptist Church has been, like so many, involved in the rescue and relief efforts. Could you tell us a little bit about what your church has been doing?
Sure. We didn't know what we were doing.
None of us did.
It just all sort of happened. We became a landing zone for supplies, distribution, and so we're receiving trucks and trailers from all over the country, Kentucky, Arkansas, Florida, all over North Carolina, bringing us supplies, and we're trying our best to get it out as quickly as we can. We're not open to the public, but we're distributing to those who are, and who are trucking into places like Burnsville and Candler and Asheville and other areas. So we've been working around the clock to get good resources in and to get good resources out as quick as possible. We filled our fellowship hall and emptied it probably, a dozen times in the last several days of just supplies pouring in. So we've been overwhelmed with the Lord's kindness and generosity through his people and this community. It's been awesome to watch this community rally around those needs. And if you would, I want to shout out, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I know you're making a proclamation. And my wife, Carmen, is an 11-year survivor of breast cancer herself. So
Wonderful.
yeah,
We are,
we-
yeah, wonderful.
we love October, and we're thankful
Good.
that you're recognizing that today at
Yeah.
the meeting.
Well, thank you. And we are so thankful for our faith community, and I am so grateful to your congregation and everything that all of your folks and the volunteers that are helping have stepped up to do. Our community appreciates it. Thank you.
Likewise, thankful for you. Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, honor, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Madam Mayor, you have a quorum. All members are present except for Councilmember Baker.
Okay. Do I have a motion to officially excuse Councilman Baker?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman Baker is officially excused from this meeting. Okay. Council, you have the draft agenda. Do I have any proposed modifications?
Mayor, I'd like to make a couple of changes or additions. Number one, under item H, I'd like to add Fire Prevention Month proclamation.
Okay.
And under new business, M, there's a resolution authorizing the pro-housing grant application. And if we could, make that item number one.
Okay, wait a minute. Under M1. Okay, so you're adding a new M1, which is the resolution for the pro-housing grant. And then 2 would be the option to purchase, and we'll just go on down. Okay,
And Mayor, I'd like to ask that the council add M5, which is an amendment to the council calendar.
okay. You guys are going to get me confused here, but all right. Anything else that we're going to change? All right, I think we got it. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as modified with the Fire Prevention Month proclamation, H3, with the resolution for the pro-housing grant as M1, and a new M5, the amended council calendar?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda as modified is approved. Okay. Council, you've got the minutes of the September 16th, 2024 regular meeting. Are there any changes or corrections? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Public comments. Do I have anyone signed up for public comments? Oh. And I got to read your instructions here first, but that's all right. You probably know them, but we'll go over it anyways, Patricia. Okay, public comment. The public is invited to speak during public comment at this time on any topic unless it is a public hearing item on this agenda. Anyone who wants to speak must register with the city clerk, which is what the sign-up sheet is. When it is your turn, step to the podium in front of city council, state your name and address clearly, limit comments to 3 minutes or less, and avoid repetition. Direct comments to the full council, not to an individual council member or to staff. Groups are encouraged to appoint a spokesperson on their behalf. Okay, and our first speaker is Patricia Wrinkle.
Yes, 39 Apple Tree Street. Usually I'm up here complaining. This is different. You all have done really well during this storm, and I know you're all very tired. And I want to thank you all. It's going to be a long haul for a lot of people, but you all stepped up and did what needed to be done, and we are blessed, all of our city employees. Also want to thank you for the sidewalk by the mud hole. I'm very grateful for that. I use it frequently. Only other question, or something I'd like answered at some point is, before Helen, BH, you were talking about, talking to builders for the Davidson River Woods property, Presbyterian Church property. And I'm wondering if that has happened, when will we as neighbors find out so that, we can go on with our lives one way or another? That's it.
Thank you very much. All right, and that is everybody that has signed up for public comment. All right, we are going to move on to our proclamations. We have a couple of them tonight. All right, and if I could ask Cindy and Melissa from SAFE to come up and join me, please. Our first proclamation is proclamation number 2024, track 20, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2024. Whereas intimate partner violence alone affects more than 12 million people every year, and whereas an average of 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in the United States. More than 12 million women and men over the course of a single year. And whereas nationally, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience some form of sexual assault in their lifetime. Whereas almost half of all women and men in the U.S. have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lifetime. Whereas women ages 18 to 34 generally experience the highest rates of intimate partner violence. Whereas current and former intimate partners accounted for nearly 33% of women killed in the U.S. workplaces between 2003 and 2008. Whereas the presence of a gun in domestic violence situations increases the risk of homicide for women by 500%. Whereas the city of Brevard recognizes the significant impact domestic violence has on Transylvania County individuals, families, children, schools, workplaces, and places of worship. And whereas by working together, we can build a community where intimate partner violence is not tolerated and all individuals can be safe, feel respected, and live free from abuse. Now therefore, I, Maureen Kopoloff, Mayor of the City of Brevard, hereby proclaim the month of October 2024 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Brevard, and urge the citizens of Brevard to work together to eliminate domestic violence from our community, to keep our community members safe from this crime, and to stand with survivors and victims of domestic violence. And I have standing up here with me 2 members from SAFE. And I just want to say that we are extremely fortunate here in this community to have an organization such as SAFE that provides that safe haven to people that are experiencing this type of violence disease. And I want to open it for Cindy or Melissa. Do you want to say a little bit about SAFE?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Those are pretty amazing statistics that you've read. And with the crisis that we've just had in the last week, an organization like SAFE is even more important to have in the community. So we appreciate you spreading the word and shedding the spotlight.
Let's get a picture here. Yeah. You know, the city is just so fortunate to have nonprofit partners such as you that provide services to our community that are so critical for the well-being of our citizens. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, our next proclamation is on Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I don't have anyone in particular that's going to come up, but I thought that was very moving, what Pastor Andrew mentioned. So many people have experienced this in their lives or in their family. And it's important to remember that it is still one of those diseases that is out there that impacts so many people. So, proclamation number 2024-21. Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2024. Whereas the city of Brevard joins our nation in recognizing October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among women in the United States and is the second leading cause of cancer deaths among women in North Carolina and our nation. Whereas early detection can be an effective tool in combating breast cancer, with regular screenings preventing 15 to 30% of all deaths from breast cancer in women over 40. When diagnosed while still confined to the breast, the 5-year relative survival rate is 99%. Whereas, on average, every 2 minutes a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer in the United States. Whereas 1 in 8 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime, and although rare, men get breast cancer too. Whereas in 2024, an estimated 310,720 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the U.S. And whereas in 2024, an estimated 2,800 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in men in the U.S. Whereas in 2024, an estimated 42,250 women and 530 men will die from breast cancer in the U.S. Whereas the city of Brevard encourages citizens to talk with their healthcare providers about regular screenings, examinations, and mammograms, and to practice self-examination. Now therefore, I, Mayor Maureen Koploff, and Brevard City Council do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Brevard, and call on all citizens to join us in recognizing and commend this observance to all citizens. And please, just pay attention to the statistics. The survival rate of 99% when it's caught early. You know, in a time like this, with all the crisis, everything going on, it's very easy for people not to take care of themselves. And so it's important that we remind everybody, your health is critical. Take care of yourself. Do the checks. Listen to your body. And get things checked out if you think there's an issue. So, breast cancer, it's still a serious, serious issue in our country. All right, and our next proclamation, Bobby, we could have our Fire Chief, Bobby Cooper, join me. It is Fire Prevention Month. Proclamation. 2024 TAC 22. Fire Prevention Month, October of 2024. Whereas the city of Brevard has been committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Brevard. And whereas the 2024 Fire Prevention Week theme, quote, smoke alarms, make them work for you, unquote, strives to educate everyone about the importance of having working smoke alarms in your home. Whereas roughly 3 out of 5 fire deaths happen in homes with either no smoke alarms or with no working smoke alarms. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires almost in half. Whereas smoke alarms make Smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to danger in the event of fire, in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. Whereas Brevard residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. Whereas Brevard residents should make sure their smoke alarms meet the needs of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities. Whereas Brevard residents should test smoke alarms at least once a month. And whereas the Brevard Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. Now therefore, I, Mayor Maureen Koploff, and the Brevard City Council do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Fire Prevention Month throughout this community. We urge all Brevard citizens to make sure their homes have working smoke alarms and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Brevard's fire and emergency services. Have we had any fires recently?
2 today. Not in the city, but in the county.
No, but you responded to 2 fires today. I mean, folks, this is constant. I mean, fires happen. The way to really safely prevent them is with that smoke alarm. So make sure you're testing it. Make sure it works. Make sure you've got it installed. I think if you need any assistance or advice,
Any fire department can be glad to help.
so. Well, we appreciate everything our fire department does. We appreciate the fact that you respond to those fires. I believe in the middle of the hurricane, we responded to a structural fire even then. Right? So these guys are out, even in the hurricane, trying to put out fires in our homes. So please take it seriously and get the smoke alarms. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, fire department.
Yeah, my alarm went off this morning. I was keeping my bacon and they called me up. You okay? I'm hooked up.
Okay. We are now going to move into our public hearings. Do we have signups for the public hearings?
Well, you have sheets. You don't have anybody on them.
That's okay, we're still going to open and close public hearings as required. But, okay, nobody signed up. All right, our first public hearing is on the pathways to removing obstacles to housing, the pro-housing federal grant application. And Emily Brewer from our planning department is going to brief us on this.
Yes, ma'am. So, as we said, Pro Housing is a grant application that we are working on and submitting. So I'm going to give a brief overview of the program, what we're going to be submitting, and then call for public comment either at the public hearing today or by phone or email so that we can incorporate that into our grant application. So, Pathways to Removing Obstacles to Housing, or Pro Housing, is a grant program that launched last year. It's administered through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and it's a competitive funding opportunity for the identification and removal of barriers to affordable housing production and preservation. This grant is intended to highlight the efforts of the communities that have shown commitment and progress in addressing the housing crisis and support projects that create long-term housing options. The grant awards are going to range between $1 million to $7 million. This is a little different than what we had last year, but we're in that. And Pro Housing incentivizes housing-forward actions that further develop, evaluate, and implement housing challenges and facilitate the production and preservation of affordable housing. One of the things that's really important about this grant opportunity for us is that Transylvania County has been identified as a priority funding area for this application. So we are Utilizing that, it gets an additional 8 points in the scoring process. And a local match is not required, but we are able to use staff time and city investment as part of our leverage in this grant application, which makes us even more competitive. So what kinds of barriers does pro-housing seek to remove? A lot of different barriers are included in this. Regulatory, zoning, land use, procedures that we have. Those are all things that we've been working on for a number of years here in the city, and we're really proud about the progress we've made. But there still are some barriers that we have, that we face here, that really are hindering our ability to have, to make substantial progress with some of those regulatory policies that we've put in place. These include inadequate or deteriorating infrastructure, lack of local financial resources, threats from our environment or natural hazards. All of these different things are impediments to affordable housing, both in terms of production and in terms of preservation and making sure that people can stay in their homes. So, the city's vision for this proposal is to proactively remove infrastructure barriers to housing production and also to invest in communities through various preservation programs. To realize that vision, we are requesting $4 million to accomplish the following activities. The first is we want to make progress on the Azalea Rhododendron Neighborhood Sewer Extension. This is a project that we've been working on for a number of years and was the subject of our pro-housing grant application last year. The Azalea Rhododendron neighborhood is a predominantly low-income neighborhood that's been plagued with failing septic systems that are costly or in some cases impossible to repair. Extending sewer utilities to these 125 residential parcels will address a major public health concern that's been a topic of discussion with the Department of Public Health at the county, will preserve the naturally occurring affordable housing that's found in that neighborhood, and create a favorable environment for developers to create new housing on the many vacant parcels that are there. So what we're requesting as part of this grant application is engineering and design to extend sewer to the entire neighborhood. And then construction, the second part of that is then construction on phase 1, which is going to be, this is the Azalea Rhododendron neighborhood and a map of the failing septic systems as of 2020. And then this is the location of that first phase of construction that we are including. It's really the main trunk line along Old Hendersonville Highway, up a little bit on Azalea Avenue so that we're able to build the pump station. And those are critical for us to be able to do the remainder of the sewer extension. We believe that by pursuing funding for these two items, instead of the full amount, will actually make us much more competitive, not only in this grant application, because we're requesting a lesser amount and spreading out our request across a number of other projects, but also will make us more competitive for future grant requests for the remainder of the neighborhood, because we will have done significant work on this project already. Okay. The next project that we are including in this is engineering and construction to extend sewer to a parcel that's owned by Transylvania Habitat for Humanity on Woodland Terrace. So this project it's a 7.8 acre parcel, and the Woodland Terrace project is a pivotal initiative by Habitat to address the growing need for affordable housing in our community. They plan to build approximately 47 cluster homes using one of our new ordinance amendments, cluster home developments, to create a close-knit, sustainable, and affordable neighborhood for low to moderate income families. These homes will include a variety of different housing types, like duplexes up to quadruplexes, and will provide flexibility and diversity for housing options so that we're able to meet a variety of different needs within our community. This parcel has been the subject of affordable housing discussion in the past, but unfortunately, the municipal sewer service becomes a critical piece for them to be able to develop this property at all, let alone to develop the property to the extent possible as part of one of these projects. And then the last program that we are including in this proposal is endowing the city's housing trust fund for affordable housing preservation programs. These programs will enable low-income homeowners to rehabilitate existing affordable housing units, improve the quality and the safety of our housing units, and make sure that these households are able to remain in the community. This has been something that's been discussed for a number of years within both amongst city council, but also amongst the housing committee and a number of others. It's a very important need for us to be able to preserve and keep people into their homes and in our community. But funding has been really difficult for this program because we have so many other initiatives and projects. And so by being able to move forward with these preservation programs as part of this, we will be able to make investments up to $1.2 million in the city limits and within the ETJ. This is a very large project. So I just include this here to say that everyone in the city is going to be very involved in this, in addition to support from some very important outside partners. We have Land of Sky Regional Council that would be doing the grant administration for us. The contact there is Mary Roderick, who's been helping us with the Azalea Rhododendron Neighborhood Sewer Extension for a number of years now. We also, of course, will be working very closely with Transylvania Habitat for Humanity and the Executive Director, Angie Hunter, to make sure that this is able to move forward. We also will need a lot of coordination with the county. And so Jeff Adams, who is the planning director, will be serving as the county coordination point of contact for us as we move forward with this initiative, which is critical for their housing, for the housing needs of the entire county, not just within the city limits. So the pro-housing review criteria, just a brief overview, because I wanted to point out that priority geography. One of the things that gets you arguably the most amount of points is having a demonstrated commitment and previous efforts towards housing. That is 15 points. And so we're excited to be able to share the work that we have done and be able to leverage the work that we've done already to be able to get additional funding to continue to expand our scope as we work on these housing initiatives. And then, as I said, the priority geography, Transylvania County was identified by HUD as one of the priority geographies for this for this funding cycle, and that gets you an additional 8 points. So the remainder of the points come from, narrative, what's your approach to this project, whether different things you're going to do, your budget and timeline proposal, the amount of leverage that you're providing, and how much you can expect the impact to be for this project. So we are looking forward to being able to work on that. As I said, we did submit a application for pro-housing last year that was not selected. As I mentioned, the request was for $6 million, which included funding for the entire Azalea Rhododendron neighborhood and some of the housing preservation programs. But we've adapted based on the feedback we received and some changes to the actual grant application itself. And these changes are in this proposal to reflect a reduced ask amount, an expanded geographic scope of our infrastructure investments, and really trying to lay the foundation for a lot of these other programs that we're working on. Additionally, our amended ask focuses it's a lot more balanced on supporting both production and preservation of new units. And so we are able to continue working on all of our different initiatives with this lesser ask. So, very briefly, the timeline. It is a very quick turnaround. The funding was announced in August. We discussed this at the September Housing Committee meeting, and we're having the public hearing today. We're required to have one public hearing. I will say we just found out that the application due date for areas that have been declared that are federally declared as disaster zones have a 1-week extension. So the deadline for this grant application is now October 22nd. So I really encourage all of you to provide some input. You can provide input by emailing me, emily.brewer@cityofbrevard.com, by calling the planning department and providing a verbal comment, or by going on the city's website under cityofbrevard.com/pro-housing. We have a comment form that you can fill out. So any and all feedback will be incorporated into our grant application, and we're really excited to be able to move this project forward. But we do need the community's input to be able to make sure that we're meeting the exact needs we need to. The anticipated award announcements are supposed to be in December and January in advance of a project start date in February. They were a little delayed last year, so hopefully we'll still be in that early portion of 2025 when we receive the award announcements. So with that, I'll hand it back over, but we're very excited about this opportunity and hopeful that we are able to make some meaningful progress on these projects. Thank you.
All right, well, we will officially open the public hearing. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is officially open. Madam Clerk, I believe we have no one that has signed up to speak
That is
at the public
correct.
hearing.
That is correct. There are no
Okay,
members of the public
Then-
wish to speak.
I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is now closed. Council, any questions for Emily Brewer before we move on? Mr. Daniel?
I think this is exciting. Sounds like we have a good proposal here, and our need was great before Helene, and obviously is much greater now. So hopefully this comes through.
Mr. Morrow? Any
An
comments?
impressive application. Your drafts is amazing, amazing. The data's in there, you got all the Ts crossed and I's dotted. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Thank you, Emily.
Ms. Holder?
I'm excited as well, and thank you. I don't know how you do this within a 40-hour work week, but thank you for your dedication.
We have a powerful need for this in our community, and again, I can't believe the turnaround you did on this. It's an amazing proposal.
Really.
And it's a desperate need in our community more than ever now. So thank you so much for making this happen. And please give everyone feedback so
Yes.
we know what you guys want.
All right, thank you, Emily. We will move on to our second public hearing. And Emily, you're doing this one too?
Yes, I am.
Okay, our second public hearing is the ordinance voluntary contiguous annexation, Jason Shepherd, 35 Verdery Avenue. Emily, over to you.
Just one moment. Okay. Yes. In July, Jason Shepherd, the applicant, submitted a request for voluntary contiguous annexation for the property located at 35 Verdi Avenue. The planning board considered this at their September meeting and unanimously recommended approval. This parcel is zoned general residential 8, and it's partially within the city limits already. And so the petition is really to include the remainder of the parcel. So as you can see on the screen, the yellow is what they're proposing to annex into the city limits, with the remainder of the parcel where my arrow is already within city limits. The lot is currently vacant, and the financial service delivery impacts are estimated to be minimal, as it is the remainder of an existing parcel that's within city limits. Voluntary contiguous annexations are governed by North Carolina General Statutes 160A-31, which authorizes cities to annex any area contiguous to their borders on receipt of a petition. And the subject property qualifies for annexation under that statute. This is for public hearing only, so there's no action needed at this time.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to go into a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, do we have anybody that signed up to speak in this public hearing?
No, Madam Mayor, no members of the public have signed up to speak.
Council, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed. Council, any questions? Mr. Wise, any questions?
No comment, or no questions?
Ms. Holder?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Morrow? Mr. Daniel?
I have none.
All right, thank you, Emily. We will move on to the consent and information agenda. Number 1, the budget amendment, Housing Trust Fund, purchase agreement for $115,000. Number 2, the age-friendly survey results. Number 3, Council Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee meeting, August 21st, 2024. Number 4, Council Finance, Human Resources, and Citizen Appointment Committee minutes, August 26, 2024. 5, Council Downtown Master Plan Committee minutes, August 29th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We have no unfinished business. We will move on to new business. The first item is a resolution for the pro-housing grant that was just briefed during the public hearing. Mr. Manager, are you?
Yes, ma'am, you got it. We put a resolution in front of you that essentially just memorializes your permission for us to apply for the grant, and if it's won, accept the funds.
All right, council, do I have a motion to approve the resolution for the pro-housing grant application?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any additional comments? Mr. Daniel?
I have no other comments. I think we've discussed this, yeah.
Mr. Morrow?
Just keep our fingers crossed.
Ms. Holder?
No comments.
Mr. Wise?
The second time is the charm, as they say famously.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did I already do this? I'm losing
Yes.
track. Oh, opposed? No one, okay, the resolution is approved. Okay. Our second item is to approve the option to purchase 3 properties in Azalea Rhododendron neighborhood for a potential affordable housing project. And I believe city manager, no, I believe city manager, who's briefing this?
Paul's going to help me here, but I'll
Okay.
start off with some introductory comments. So the program that Emily just described is our main housing effort at the moment, but there's a complementary effort that we've talked about in closed session, and so you all know the details, but we can't move forward with it without having it shared in public session, and so that's what today's presentation is for. And that is, the city hopes to buy a nearly 3-acre parcel off of Azalea Avenue to prepare it for development of LMI housing, to essentially do the same thing for that property that we did for the church property, and hopefully have better outcomes. And the owners of that property have expressed a willingness to sell, but only if we buy their 2 other properties at the same time. And that's okay with us, because we could carve off a little bit of square footage on those 2 other parcels there at the bottom of that image to support the development that we hope will occur on the larger parcel on the top of that image. But also because we feel confident that if what we don't need from those properties, we can turn around and sell and reimburse ourselves the cost of buying those properties. But as with the church property, we need to investigate it before we buy it. But we can't apply public resources to buying we can't apply public resources to assessing the property unless we own or otherwise control it. And that's because the state constitution prevents the expenditure of public money for a private purpose. And so we have to control the property to rightfully claim that there is a public purpose. The terms have been negotiated with the property owners and discussed with you. And for the benefit of the viewing public, the terms are this. An option, a 6-month option to purchase, $40,000 for the first 3 months. Then, if necessary, $20,000 for month 4, $25,000 for month 5, and $30,000 for month 6. Our real estate advisor tells us that these are reasonable figures, and of course, all those payments would be deducted from the purchase price if we move forward and buy the property. But there is one complication that I need to share with you all today. These terms were negotiated before the storm. And life's been turned upside down, and we don't know if we're going to be able to do all the work that we need to do in 6 months. For example, the architecture firm that we want to use to design a project on that property is based out of Asheville, and we haven't been able to call them in a week. We presume that they're not open right now, and folks aren't coming to work, and we don't know when they're going to be back online. So this very ambitious 6-month time frame that we had outlined is at risk now. And so I think that we might need to renegotiate the agreement with the property owners a little bit. And one of the things that I'm going to ask you all to do tonight, if you'd like to move forward, is to give me the authority to renegotiate some of these terms in order to make the project work. I hope that it'll be with the money we have budgeted, and we won't have to spend any more money. But I'm hoping that you all will give me a little bit of a piggy bank to play with should the property owners ask for more money to extend the option from, say, 6 to 8 months or more. And so the revised resolution that you have in front of you has a clause at the bottom that doesn't just agree to the terms that we've already discussed, but also gives me the ability to renegotiate some terms as necessary to accommodate this changed schedule. Paul, anything you want to add to that?
Just one thing is that the Housing Committee has endorsed this property acquisition with funding planned from the Housing Trust Fund and the General Fund Reserves.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution to purchase 3 properties in the Azalea Rhododendron neighborhood for potential affordable housing project?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I guess, actually, I should have opened it for comments before the vote, but got a little confused. We can still have comments. Mr. Daniel, any comments?
Well, I think this is exciting. I think it has a lot of potential to be a successful project for affordable housing and meet some of the housing needs that we have. And I'm excited about this project. So.
Mr. Wise?
Yeah, I think this is a piece of property that is prime for housing development, and anytime we can, we need to really be proactive about this kind of property. So this is a great step.
Ms. Holder?
In negotiating, do you think because of the extenuated circumstances, we can keep the terms, the original terms?
I hope so. I hope that they'll show some flexibility. You know, they wanted us to do it quickly because they have plans of their own to sell this property and use the proceeds to build a home somewhere else. And so I imagine their plans might have been delayed by the storm as well. And so I hope that they might be willing to show a little patience with us and give us a little more time.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Morrow?
Yeah, I'm excited about this because this parcel we've looked at for many years, and now that it's available, it's a new day.
All right, and we already voted, it's already approved, so we will move on to our next item. Our next item is to approve the Housing Trust Fund allocation and Minnie Brooks Act exemption for Development Finance Initiative Phase 2 work. And I believe this is also the city manager.
And this is related to the last item. So the Mini Brooks Act is a statute that gives municipalities the ability to waive competitive solicitation procedures for certain professional services like architecture if the cost is less than $50,000. We did this once before for the church property, but we have to do it again for this new project. So I'm asking you to approve the resolution that waives competitive solicitation requirements per the Mini Brooks Act. Two notes for you that might be informative. We only spent $11,000 of our $50,000 budget on the church property, so we can reapply that money, most of that money, to this project. And two, although we didn't do a formal solicitation, we did consider the qualifications of a number of firms before settling on Solid Ground and Row House, the two firms who are going to be doing the assessment of this property for us. So although not an official solicitation process, enough that I feel like we're getting what we want and good value from the terms that from the vendors we're going to use.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
We'll open it for discussion. Mr. Morrow.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Let's do it.
Mr. Daniel.
I would agree.
Mr. Wise.
No comment?
Ms. Holder.
No comment, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resolution is approved. Our next item is the Planning Board appointment. And I believe, Mr. Wise, as the chairman of our HR committee, you're going to brief this.
Yeah, just quickly, the candidate that we are putting up for a vote tonight, Karen Darity, is supremely qualified for this board. She comes to us with a wealth of experience in the community, and we're really excited to kind of round out the planning board with this candidate. We voted unanimously to bring her forward to this board, so. And I believe we've all been able to read over her application. You can just see her qualifications. I don't need to go into it.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. I'll open it for additional comments. Ms. Holder.
She would be a great asset. Thank you.
Mr. Morrow.
I support it.
Mr. Wise, anything else? Mr. Daniel?
Well, I've worked with Karen on the Rosenwall Advisory Board, as well as the Mary C. Jenkins Task Force, and she's an impressive candidate. So.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Appointment is approved. Our fifth item of new business is the amended city council calendar. Mr. Manager.
Yes, ma'am. The current calendar has scheduled for 1 week from today an Acosta Trail Strategic Planning Workshop, but life has happened to us, and staff has not been able to focus as much on that agenda and that workshop as we had hoped here over the last few weeks, and so I'm asking council if they will either reschedule that meeting for a date later in the calendar year or postpone it indefinitely until we can find a date that suits everybody.
Do I have a motion concerning the manager's request?
So moved.
Well, are you
Postpone.
postponing?
I'm sorry?
The choice was to pick a new date or to just postpone
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry. Pick a new date.
Do you have a date in mind?
I do not.
Perhaps you'd like to make a motion to just postpone it.
I would like to make a motion to postpone it. I'm going to wake up as soon as this is over.
And I'll second that.
Okay, I believe staff can then come up with proposed dates.
Right.
Okay, any additional comments, Mr. Daniel?
I understand the need to postpone, and I'm in favor of that. I would like to know fairly soon, when, as soon as possible, that we know when the new date would be.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Morrow, any comments?
No comment.
Ms. Holder, any additional comments?
No.
Mr. Wise?
No comments.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Okay, that is the end of new business. We are now on remarks, and we will start with Mr. Daniel.
Obviously, we're experiencing something pretty unique in our history and the history of our country as well, I think, with this storm. And I commend our staff and all the other organizations that have worked tirelessly to bring us through this. And I'm also very thankful that we dodged the worst of it. So, thank you, everyone.
Mr. Morrow?
Yeah, and I think I really appreciate the fact that the city actually stood up to communicate what was going on to everybody in the community, and that what you did on the website, what you did was a historic difference to some of my friends in Asheville or Biltmore Forest, where they have no idea what's going on. And so I would share them, your emails and connections to our website so they could see, because in this case, my family owns they own property here in the city too, and it was just like, oh my goodness, it's just day and night difference in the communication. So pass that comments on, and thank you to staff, and I agree with Gary that yes, we are looking around and knowing what's going on around us. Yes, we are fortunate.
Ms. Holder?
I ditto what has been said and what Gary said, and for the city and all that you've done, especially to have information delivered to us by car when we couldn't get on the
That's it,
internet.
yeah.
And your dedication has been above and beyond. The relief efforts continue, especially with regard to Asheville, and I've had the opportunity to help there. If you know of anyone here who needs help or assistance, please let us know. If you know someone in Asheville, people are calling us from all over the state and the country, so we appreciate that. I want to thank my colleagues from SAFE, as I serve on that board, and very passionate about the ministry and what we do in the community. Thank you for being here tonight. And thank all of you.
The last time we met here publicly, I think, was September 16th, and it's staggering how much has happened since then. So I'm really appreciative to see everyone here, and especially all of you. Thank you for coming. I know this is maybe not the easiest meeting to be at right now, but we really appreciate it. Also want to give a huge shout out to everyone at the city. There are no words to really express the amount of effort you guys are going through and have gone through, and how much we appreciate it. And I'm sure I speak for everyone in this room when I say that. There's still a lot to do. I was out of town for the past 5 days on a business trip, and everyone I ran into, this is in Philadelphia, commented and were concerned and asked how they could help. So certainly a lot of people have their eyes on us right now, and I agree with Gary. While we dodged a bullet, a lot of people in our community and our region didn't, so let's keep our thoughts with them and continue the effort to help everyone. Outside of that, I would also just like to mention quickly, my mom was a 30-year breast cancer survivor, so I was very glad to see this proclamation. It means a lot to me. And finally, on a slightly lighter note, if you want to check out your fire and smoke detectors, come to my house and cook, because mine goes off if I even look at the oven. So if you're not sure, just bring it to my house and we'll test it out for you, okay? Again, thank everyone for being here. It means so much to us.
Mr. Attorney?
I am going to echo that being able to see this staff up close in a crisis has been amazing. And I want to say that everybody is on it, but the biggest thing that I've seen out of all of this, the activity though, is that what we really need to be looking forward to comes next. We got businesses that aren't going to be able to have a normal fall season, which everyone knows is important here. We need to be looking at those kind of activities next. And thankfully, we're in a position to do that. Asheville, they can't even start thinking about that. They still got to get water on. We never lost water. Where's Dennis?
There's our hero.
And so we we have come out of this, and I've talked to attorneys from all over the western part of the state and talking about what do we do next, how do we get this, what do we do? And we truly were blessed, but the hard part's gonna be the next step. And recovery, survival's one thing, recovery's what's next. And thankfully, Brevard has a track record of doing that very well. And so I look forward to seeing what we're gonna do next.
Madam Clerk.
I just want to say that I am extremely proud to be a part of the team that brought this city through this historic event. You all amaze me. I was not on the front line. I did not put in the hours that you all put in. And I am so proud of each and every one of you. And as a 16-year breast cancer survivor, I also thank you for the proclamation. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager.
Yes, ma'am. So probably at the next meeting, I'll have a further report on our response and our early thoughts on recovery efforts, which, Mayor, you've been working on a lot, staff and I have been working on, and hopefully we can compile our efforts so far and share those with the council at the next meeting. But for now, I'll just say that as a manager of the staff and more in particular as a resident of Brevard, I'm grateful to all the city employees who were on duty during Helene. The spirit of public service was shining as bright as the sun in them, even when the skies were gray. And even in some cases while they were experiencing personal hardships of their own. And I just want to remind people that some of our employees had trees on their roofs and no water or power, and they still came into work to serve their community members. Staff and I have been talking about ways to recognize folks officially, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I just want to express publicly how grateful I am to all those city employees that were involved. And then finally, I want to share an anecdote. I know we'll all have stories to tell in the months to come, but I want to share this one. You know, even during the darkest times when things were most stressful, one of the things that helped me get through it was just about everywhere I went, whether it was the fire department here, the emergency operations center, Dennis's plant, wherever else, there were kids around. Believe it or not, public servants who were working but who didn't have water or power at their own home brought their kids in. And so if you went to the EOC, you'd see a bunch of kids over in the corner playing a board game or doing some arts and crafts or watching a video, not online, of course, but with an old VHS tape. And so it was always joyous to see them around. You know, the older kids you could joke around with, the younger kids. Dennis, what's your guy's name that's got 3 daughters? Dylan, you know what his daughter's name is?
Charlie, Andy, and Briar.
One.
They're 6, 4, and 1.
What's the 4-year-old?
Indy.
Indy was in her princess dress. And she bent my ear on whatever it was she was experiencing that day. And I came into that facility stressed. And to see her there really helped me get through it. And that wasn't the only experience I had like that. So I just wanted to share that with you all and tell you that that's a story that I'm going to carry with me in my memory of the storm. And I want to thank all those youngsters who were around, who chatted with me and gave me a few moments of levity and peace in the middle of this stressful situation. So thanks to city employees, thanks to county employees, thanks to city employees and county employees' kids.
I can only re-echo what everyone has already said. You know, our world changed back then. That day, it changed our entire world. And I could not be prouder of the staff of this city because they truly worked till they were exhausted, and then they kept working. And they kept all 8,000 people in the city safe. And we came through this crisis. We came through it with some damage. We came through it with sorrow. We came through it with some degree of trauma. But we have come through it, and we are on the road to recovery. As our city attorney said, you know, we now have passed the survival stage, and we are looking at the rebuilding stage. And just give you a couple of things to let you know what we are doing. We are really right now working to make sure that everybody who has been displaced by the storm, who is not able to be living in their home because it was damaged or destroyed, first, that they're in emergency shelter, which we've gotten them in, but now we're trying to work to get them in temporary housing so that they have somewhere to live, probably for 6-8 months until their homes are repaired. And I'm very proud of the efforts that have been going on. I do want to say that we are going to be working with the Housing Assistance Corporation in basically trying to match properties that are available for temporary housing to families that have a need for that housing here in Transylvania County. So you'll be seeing more information on exactly how that's going to work, but we are working one by one, family by family, to take care of our neighbors. We're also looking at what do we do about our businesses. You know, when you walk up and down our streets, some businesses got damaged. Some of them, I was talking to Mike Hawkins today, they're gutting Pisgah Fish Camp. It was totally flooded. Not, so some have actual physical damage, but the real damage that's also occurring is that this is the top month for our businesses to make money, to stay in business. And when I walk up and down Main Street, I am literally grabbed by store owners who are so worried about their survival of their business. And that's critical for jobs. That's critical for our community, So we have our individuals, our families we've got to take care of. We have our business community that we also have to take care of. I do want to say that Heart of Brevard, the Chamber, TDA, TEA, they have relaunched Transylvania Tomorrow, which is that fund that we had during COVID. If you might remember, during COVID, we raised over $250,000 to help our small businesses. Well, they have reactivated that, and so you'll be seeing a lot of information about that being available for people to help. We also are looking at, it's not just the physical damage. It's not just, what we've lost physically. We've been through a trauma. And when you've been through a trauma, it really does impact you. And so we are making sure that we are putting in place sort of psychological support services. And I want to let you know a couple of things that we're doing. On Monday, as part of our age-friendly program, where we already had it scheduled to have Blue Ridge Community College nurses coming, we're going to have this, and it's actually going to be focused on having people come in and talk and get counseling and deal with the trauma that they've been through. So from 9 to 11 at Mary C. Jenkins on Monday morning, we're inviting the public to come. We'll have a nursing staff there. We'll have Dr. Paula Hartman-Stein there, who is a expert gerontology psychologist. I got it almost right. But what it really is we come together. We come together with that human-to-human contact. If there is one thing I learned during this crisis, that is the importance of people-to-people contact. We can put out information a lot of ways, but when you put it out person to person, when you have presence and people realize they are not alone, that is what makes such a significant difference. And so that person-to-person contact, that ability to talk about what they're experiencing, Monday will be available at Mary C. Jenkins. We are also putting in place telemedicine with counselors. That Spark Point is going to be getting that in place and available to people who need to call in and really talk to a counselor about what they've been through or what that loss means to them. So we are trying to take care of our community in every way that we can. We've tried to take care of them with the emergency response and got everybody out safely And I am so happy that we really did not have loss of life. We are trying to take care of people for their loss of their possessions, of their homes, of the things that were precious to them. We are trying to help them to rebuild those lives and to set them up to have a path forward. And we're trying to help them deal with that shock and the trauma of what we've gone through. And that is what our community is focusing on. That's some of what I've been working on with so many of our support groups. Our faith community has been amazing. Our nonprofits are amazing. Our county response team, working in conjunction with our city staff, absolutely amazing. It's all about collaboration. It's about teamwork. You cannot go anywhere without people offering help. I am literally inundated with people calling me from around the country, calling me from Alabama, calling me from, I can't even list all the places, just saying, what do you need? What do you need for your community? How can I help? It is that fundamental human instinct of wanting to help one another that this has brought out in such a large degree. And that makes me so proud of our community, of our businesses, of our organizations, so proud of our staff. And finally, I just want to also point out how hard our city manager worked, that he basically coordinated that effort. Yes, we had wonderful teams out there, but he was directing those teams. And I know it was a very, very long night, Wilson. So thank you for everything that you did and the leadership that you gave to this city during this crisis. So thank you. Couple of other, let's see, I think I had a couple of other announcements maybe. Oh, yes, another announcement. Oh, yeah. I do want to announce, and of course, all of this will be online, but I'm not going to miss an opportunity to communicate. There is a FEMA application assistance clinic that Pisco Legal and Habitat are having on Friday, the 11th, from 10 to 4 in the Rogo Room. And this is for people who need to put in FEMA applications. It's a walk-in clinic. They will help you do it. Because if you have had damage, if you need to get your FEMA application in, your insurance application in. So FEMA application assistance clinic this Friday in the Rogo Room from 10 to 4. Also, we are going to we are going to be holding another one of our community conversations. This is a program that was sort of a grassroots program that was started. We've had a number of them. I think a number of you have attended them. But we're going to have another community conversation. And this conversation is going to be about how do we pull everything together? How do we put all the pieces together to really make our community whole again? And it is going to be on the 21st of October at 4 p.m. to 5:30 at the Mary C. Jenkins Center to start that discussion. So I really hope people will come, because getting together, talking about it, brainstorming, and then going out and acting together in unity is so important right now. So a lot going on, a lot of additional information that will be published as we go forward. And let's see, one other. And I am going to answer one of the most frequently asked questions that I have been asked in the last 2 days. And that is, what do we do with all of the storm damaged stuff in our house? Can we put it out on the curb for the city to pick up? And the answer is that Public Works crews have been collecting storm-damaged items and storm debris left at the curb, and they will continue to do so with no additional fees through October 18th. Okay, October 18th. This is storm-damaged materials. This is not everything that you wanted to get rid of. This is things that were damaged that, many of our families, it was really heartbreaking. Wilson and I went over to one of the areas where the homes were completely flooded, and every single piece of furniture, every single belonging from those homes, they were piled in their front yard. They had stripped everything out. you know. And they were, you know, trying to deal with this. The last thing they need is to try and figure out, how do I move this pile somewhere? So a big thank you. I know Public Works, this is a big burden. I know this is a lot of extra work. But it's one of those little things that we can do as a city. And so people can put the damaged items out on the curb through the 18th for free, and we will remove them. Then, after that, if you still have items, you can request a waiver, but you'll have to, you know, arrange that through Public Works up until November 1st. So every little thing that we can do makes a difference. Every little kindness that we can show is important. Every little step forward that we can take individually and as a community takes us one step forward to really healing from this storm. So thank you all. Thank you for this community. I cannot tell you what's in my heart. It is so full of gratitude for everyone that has stepped up in dozens and dozens of different ways. This is a special place, and it is the people here that make it. So thank you. And with that, I believe it's time to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
Thank you all for your hard work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harvey. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.
You know, if you need any warehouse space, then, you know,